can do it. I know we can't.
Jesus Christ.
Stop it.
Maybe our founding fathers fucked up and they can't.
No! What the fuck are you talking about?
Jesus Christ.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spot the Liberal. Due to the current amount of job openings and starting pays and sign-on bonuses going up, employers should start considering their current employees and place fucking value in them before they leave. And they will leave. All that money that you're just shelling out for new employees, that's gonna not fare well as far as impressions are concerned. The current employees that you have, employers, they're gonna notice this. And then they're gonna ask, well, where's my bonuses? Where's my sign-on bonus? Where's my punch-in bonus? Where's my punch-out bonus? If you're going to give all this money to a new employee, why don't you raise my salary a little bit too? You know? It's that simple, people. This country is freaking bankrupt. Financially, morally, mentally, psychologically. Let's look at something that Mel Brooks once said. Okay? 20 years ago, Mel Brooks, or actually I think it's Mel Gibson, I forget which one. It's either Mel Brooks or Mel Gibson. I can't tell the difference. But some guy named Mel said that he tried to warn us about Hollywood being controlled by evil communist child abusers back in the year 2000. Do you believe this guy now? Look it up. Look it up. You'll see. Let me point some out to you guys, okay? We know that Hollywood is run by a bunch of faggots. We know that Hollywood is run by a bunch of maggots. We also know that Hollywood is run by a bunch of racists and rapists and criminals and frauds, and all other sorts of criminals. Just like Congress is run by all sorts of criminals and terrorists. And sadly, there are many people in this country that do not get it. They don't get it. So let's see here. An entire U.S. election is rigged to keep Hillary Rodham Clinton? I meant to say Clinton. Sorry about that. An entire election was rigged to keep Clinton and Obama out of prison. That is the reason for the treason. If you people are too dumb to see that, if you people are too stupid to see that, then you are hopeless. You are truly hopeless. Let me just point out one other thing. These two were in cahoots with one another during Obama's own administration, and he helped pave the way for a Hillary Clinton presidency that almost was. And yet, his number two, Joe Biden, is in power now because, well, I mean, the presidency is obviously a freaking laughingstock now because everyone's going to look at the future presidents of the United States in years' time and they're going to think, oh, well, a pedophile used to run this country. Some guy with dementia used to run this country. So here's the thing. Dinesh D'Souza says about the COVID-19 conspiracy widening. We now know that top virologists with a vested stake in souping up deadly viruses created the false impression of a scientific consensus regarding the origins of the virus, which was in a lab in Wuhan province in China 2 years ago. It was created in a lab and spread all over the place. And you know what the funny part is? They lied about it. And then their lies were protected at the highest levels of the United States government. That is not only criminal, it is also treasonous and punishable by death. You thought the Nuremberg trials were terrible? The trials that are to come, what I'd like to call the Corona trials, they're going to be far worse. Here's the thing. No matter who won or lost, every single solitary state and Virgin Island should be audited after the elections. It's called integrity and accountability. Anyone against all states being audited aren't on the up and up. Grab your purses and protect your pockets in that case. This is from a guy named Wayne Dupree. This post came from a guy named Wayne Dupree. Now, people, I don't know if you know what integrity and accountability is, but if you don't know it yet, I'm going to tell you straight up. It means you have to have a moral compass. If you are to survive in this world, you have to have some sort of moral compass. You can't just bullshit your way through life and not expect there to be consequences. I'm sorry. You can't expect that. You can't expect to not there be consequences after bullshitting your way through life. And now let's go to the forum section on DeviantArt. And you know what's funny? My friend Ray Phoenix, he said that he still thinks America is the world's greatest country. And you know, he's right. He also said that no nation in the world is free of major problems. And this nation of ours, America, has a ton of major problems that will never, ever be resolved. I'm sad to say. These problems won't be resolved because we don't allow these problems to be resolved. And because we don't allow these problems to be resolved, we end up making ourselves look like a bunch of blithering freaking morons. Okay? Now here's the thing that goes with this. America may be the greatest nation going. It might be the greatest nation of all time. But no matter how great a nation is, a nation's always going to have problems. So let's start memeing now. Let's meme for a little bit. This is from a post from a guy named J.D. Young. Okay? Now, he says, to all the haters, these two men have every right to be in love. Now, I think I know that you know what I'm referring to. But just for fun, just for the hell of it, let's give you about 32 seconds to figure it out, okay? Go. Okay, you know what? To hell with it. Time's up. If you don't know who I'm referring to, if you don't know who J.D. Young is referring to by these two men by now, then you have just experienced the greatest brain fart of your life, because the two men I'm referring to is Michelle and Barack Obama. Michelle and Barack Obama. The former Michael Robinson, the same Michelle Obama that was born a man named Michael Robinson, who was a collegiate football player, who transitioned into a woman. And I have no doubt in my mind that Barack Obama is gay. I have no doubt in my mind now. I just know it. There are too many things going around on social media that prove this. There are too many things going around now that show this. And you know something? There are so many things wrong with this picture. But damn me if I'm not going to just let them be themselves. Damn me if I'm just not going to let them have at it. You're damn right these two men have every right to be in love. You're damn right these two men have every right to be in love. And they are men. And don't be fooled by Michelle's looks. Okay? Okay, so Sydney Madison, one of my latest Facebook friends, right? Okay. So, Kamala Harris was greeted in Guatemala with "Go home" and "Trump won." Even a shithole country like Guatemala knows that Trump, every nation on the planet knows that Trump won. Every single planet in the entire solar system, in the entire galaxy, all the life forms in the universe know that Donald Trump won in a landslide, except America. Americans are just too dumb to notice that we have just sacrificed our own electoral process and our own constitution for a man that never got out of his basement in 2020 during the electoral season. And somehow, these same idiots in the media expect me to believe that Joe Biden got 85 million votes? No, he did not. The most votes that he would have gotten was probably like half that at max. About 42 million votes at max. The rest either went to Trump or some other third party. Easily. But mostly Trump, because third parties don't matter in this. If you vote for a third party, you're basically voting for a Democrat. So here's the deal. Jason D. Meister. He comes up with this tweet. If you think the Fauci emails are bad, wait till you hear about the conspiracy that unfolded between the scenes of the informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans in the 2020 election. They weaponized COVID to get states to change voting systems and laws. That is punishable by death. That is high treason. In any other era in American history but this one, you would get hanging or drawn and quartering or the guillotine. Not in this day and age. No, that's illegal now. Here's the thing. Candace Owens knows, just like all of us know, that firing Anthony Fauci doesn't go far enough. Not only does Anthony Fauci need to be fired and disbarred from all scientific communities, but he needs to be tried and put to federal prison or death row. He not only bankrupted and caused the deaths of millions of people via depression, bankruptcy, and suicide, but he also preyed on children via school. He didn't think that the schools needed to be reopened up, but he ended up scarring an entire young generation of kids into thinking that just because somebody has COVID means the whole damn school has to be closed. Just because one person has COVID doesn't mean an entire school of 3,000 people should be closed up for 7 months. We all know this. And yet, even Michelle Obama can get over being disgusted by lying male pigs. Like, you know, Bill Clinton, the guy that, of course, has HIV. The guy has HIV because he's a sexual predator. Bill Clinton is a sexual predator and his wife is a mass murderer. Hashtag Clinton body count. Tell me I'm wrong, YouTube. Tell me I'm wrong. Because even Michelle Obama wouldn't go anywhere near Bill Clinton's consensual dick. Which, by the way, last time I checked, is anything but consensual. And I know I'm probably going... See, this is specifically why I mark my videos as not for kids. Because the truths that I tell are so out there, but so relatable at the same time, that if kids were watching this, they would have to watch this with their parents. And they would have to have their parents' permission. The point I'm trying to make is simple. It took 32 years for Donald Trump's Art of the Deal to sell 1.1 million copies. The story of the first transgender First Lady, and hopefully the only transgender First Lady in American history, sells 300,000 more copies than the Art of the Deal in one fucking week. 1 week to sell 1.4 million copies of the story of a woman that never meant jack shit to the history of the First Ladies. Over 32 years of trying to sell 1.1 million copies of the 45th President of the United States before he was the 45th President of the United States. Isn't that awful? What a world this is, right? What a fucking world this is. Holy shit. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. You know the signs that say, please don't feed the animals? Please do not feed the animals. Don't feed the animals, please. Don't. Don't feed the bears. Okay? You remember that. You remember seeing a sign like that in the zoo, right? Okay. So here we have a meme, right? I'm dividing it into two parts intentionally just to make it simpler for you to understand. Please don't feed the bears. It creates a dependent population unable to take care of themselves. Now, here's where this really comes in. Here's where the magic really comes in and how similar the Feed the Bears meme and the welfare programs. Speaking of which, I think I might have just spoiled the joke for you, but for those of you who aren't smart, you probably don't know this yet. So I'm just going to make it really simple for you, okay? All right? If you feed the bears, you create a dependent population that depends on welfare programs to survive. Okay? If you feed the proverbial bears of America, you create a complete and utter dependent population that cannot survive without kissing the ass of a governmental welfare program or agency. Many people in my generation cannot wipe their ass. without depending on the government to ask them for permission first. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, seriously though, you guys really gotta understand this, because it goes so far and beyond the Call of Duty that if it weren't the truth, I wouldn't be the one that tells you this. Now here's where this all gets really, really interesting, right? You know that Facebook post from earlier from Sydney Madison? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a continuation of that post from Sydney Madison. Listen up, Kamala Harris, you bitch. Trump won. Alright? He won. Not Biden, your number one, but the number one, Donald J. Trump. And I'm not talking about Jr. either. We're talking about the dad of Donald Trump Jr., the 45th freaking president of the United States. We had a Colt 45 in our pockets for 4 years, and it did us a whole universe of good. And then we just decided, oh, we just want to stay at home because COVID. So in comes this guy named Joe Biden, who in almost 6 months as president has done a worse job than Obama did, than Hillary Clinton would have done, than Richard Nixon did, the guy behind Watergate, than even Andrew Jackson. He is a worse president than the man who came up with the idea of the Trail of Tears and the slaughter of all but about 3.5 million Native Americans. And this guy named Anthony Fauci is the biggest laughingstock in the entire scientific community. This guy is not a scientist, okay? This guy is a fucking comedian at best. A career criminal at worst. So here's the deal. A real scientist keeps up to date on science. Anthony Fauci doesn't know anything about science and hasn't done anything to keep up to date on science since at least the 1960s, when he graduated from medical school. And it's obvious. It's so obvious. The guy named Anthony Fauci is a fucking idiot. Okay? The guy is a complete and total idiot. Alright, here's another post. One of the saddest lessons of history is this. If we have been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you will never, ever get it back. Ever. Period. End of story. Bottom line. Stick a fork in it. It's done. You ain't getting that power back. You ain't getting that freaking power back. No way in hell. Once you give in to the deceived that is the media and the government and the de-educational system, it wasn't always a de-educational system. It was once an educational system. The educational system in comparison that I grew up with in the year 2000, from 2000 to 2012, I slowly watched that educational system turn from an educational system of morals to an educational system that caters to the government instead of the students and the teachers. By the way, that quote that I mentioned earlier was from a guy named Carl Sagan. The Demon Haunted World was the particular publication, the particular document that he wrote. Carl Sagan was an actual scientist, unlike Anthony Fauci, who pretends to be a scientist and has pretended to be a scientist since 1965. So, that being said, is it really all that uncommon to know that we live in a time and age where idiocy is rewarded and intelligence is punished? More and more knowledge is becoming forbidden by the day. And it's clear because the great minds of the past, Carl Sagan, Myron C. Fagan, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, they're no longer being recognized. Donald Trump Jr. posted on Twitter that a CNN anchor, probably Brian Stelter, because Brian Stelter is a virgin who will never ever... How did this guy ever conceive? How did this guy ever get laid? That's what I want to know. He must have gotten a call from Bill Clinton and said to Bill, "I'll take whatever hooky you got." But this guy, a CNN anchor, probably Brian Stelter, talking to Jeffrey Toobin after coming back on air after getting caught pleasuring himself on a corporate Zoom call, live, in front of millions of people watching this on their televisions and their streaming devices. You cannot possibly in hell, even if hell froze over, make this up. This is real. This actually happened. Okay, this is the problem, okay? We are the United States of America. No other nation is going to come to our rescue if things go sideways. No one will be resupplying us. No one will airdrop food. No one will airdrop food, ammunition, or medicine. There is no place to escape for freedom. This is it. This is America. We're living in the last days of what was once a prosperous country. This is it. America is not coming back after this. America is dying, and it's dead in most of the places in it already. Okay? America is a laughingstock now. It wasn't a laughingstock because we were actually respected by our adversaries, even our adversaries in Britain and Russia and China. At least they respected us back then. You know why they don't respect us now? Because Joe Biden is president.
I said, look at this motherfucker!
You heard the man. Okay. Statement by Donald John Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. We used to have a real guy as president for the first time since Ronald Reagan. Okay. Here's my best. I'm going to give you a little bit of a... You remember when I used to do those Donald Trump... You know how Stephen Colbert does these Donald Trump impersonations? I can do one better. Okay. My fellow Americans, have you noticed they are now admitting I was right about everything they lied to and everything they lied about before the election? Have you noticed that? I mean, they lied to you people. They lied. You can't unhear a lie. It's all there. It's common sense. It's all common sense, people. Folks, Here's what they lied about. They lied about the fact that hydrochloroquine does not work, which it does. And here's what I was right about. Listen. Hydroxychloroquine works. It works. The virus came from a Chinese lab. That's true. Hunter Biden's laptop was real. Lafayette Square was not cleared for a photo op. The Russian bounty story was fake. It was fake news. We produced vaccines before the end of 2020 in record time. Blue state lockdowns did not work. They didn't work, people. Schools should be reopened. They are now. Critical race theory is a disaster for our schools and our country. And that's just part of what he was right on. And last of all, our southern border security program was unprecedentedly successful. It was a success, people. It was a success. But the media doesn't want you to know that. Anyway, that's enough of me impersonating Donald Trump for a while. In the meantime, I'm going to close this out with a video of myself saying what I need to say, because it needs to be said. Good night, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to come right out and say it the way it needs to be said, because nobody ever will. To all you people taking the vaccine, you're all fucking retarded. Every last one of you. Do you honestly think you're going to get anything by allowing the government to bribe you into getting a vaccine? The answer is no. You people, this is why we have natural selection. This is why the concept of natural selection will reign supreme. Those who are not vaccinated will survive this. Those who are vaccinated will not survive. It is that simple. And I know it for a fact because the vaccine does not fucking work. Okay? It's just a stunt. Skull out.